Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for the chance and welcome to my seminar proposal. The Honorable my Supervisor, Mr. Azwandi Bahri, the Honorable my Co-Supervisor, Mr. Azhar Aziz Lubis, the Honorable First Examiner, Mr. Muhrizal, and the Honorable Second Examiner, Ms. Zahrida. Before I start the presentation, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Tari Octavia. With my research title, Code Mixing and Code Switching Behaviors of the English Education Study Program Students, on Instagram post from November 2019 until April 2020. Now, we move on to the next slide. I would like to give you my brief outline. First, chapter 1, we talk about the introduction. The next, chapter 2, about the literature review. And chapter 3, about the methodology. And the last one is about appendixes. Now, we move on to the next slide. About chapter 1, introduction. We talk about the background. Code mixing and code switching are two interesting languages that speakers who master two or more languages. Code mixing and code switching are interesting because they are part of social linguistics that has vocabulary element, language phenomenon, and language ability that affect society behaviors. Code mixing is the refers to the act of the mixed language two or more languages. Code switching itself is people switch language two or more languages in one context or in different contexts. Code mixing and code switching itself have been investigated for so many years. Most reports of code mixing and code switching mainly deal with the face-to-face interaction and speeches. For example, Herring 2007, he investigated about computer-mediated communication or CMC, and he found that CMC itself is as a discourse field challenges the assumption of the spoken face-to-face interaction is the essential of the code switching. And second example from Bokamba 1988, he found that the research related to the code switching and code mixing can be categorized into two, functional and theoretical. Functional itself is reason, motivation, and function of the code mixing and code switching, and theoretical is studies focused on the structural aspects. And then, the development of information has influenced most aspects of one life. We know that now, for example, in millennial generation, there are many platforms, social media that can be accessed by using internet. So, a majority social media platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, and Telegram that can be accessed by using internet. So, by this media, people can communicate with other people in the world by using this media. And then, the phenomenon in language use in social media is a unique phenomenon to be studied, because if people want communication to other people, they have to learn about the foreign language. So, in the globalization era, people can communicate with other people by social media. For example, Instagram, especially for students, they using Instagram often. They can show their ideas, they can improve their English ability, they can learn in the social media itself. So they can show their ideas, for example, in Instagram, by in the caption. Caption itself is a title or explanation about the picture, video, or only user talk. So they can show their ideas, their opinion in the caption. I have 6 previous studies, but I explained first previous studies from ISMA 2017 with her entitled Code Mixing Phenomenon in Ahmad Fuadi's Negeri Mumanara. She used descriptive qualitative research, and she found inner code mixing the most appear with 3-word dissertation, and the outer code mixing with 2-word and 2 phrases. Now we move on to the next slide about the statement of the problem. Students of the English Education Study Program use code mixing when they are talking, and then they are confident use full English in one sentence. They are afraid to make a mistake, and then rarely synchronize about code mixing and code switching. And the student, ESP student, has different background, places, school, learning habit, and English ability. And then we move to the next slide about research question. The first research question is, what type of code mixing and code switching the most on Instagram and English education study program students. And then what are the reasons for English education study program students using code mixing and code switching in Instagram. And the last one in what are the functions of code mixing and code switching used by the English education study program students in Instagram. The next slide is about objectives of the study. The objective of the study is the first describe the types of the code mixing and code switching used by English education study program students Instagram at Universitas Bengkulu. The second is to find student reason use code mixing and code switching on Instagram at the Universitas Bengkulu, and then to know the function ESP students use code mixing and code switching in Instagram. Now I explain about significance of the study. First, theoretically for the researchers, it can be reference for them if they want to observe about similar topic. And so practically for teacher and learners, it can be information, adding information about the code mixing in teaching and learning process. Now we move on to the next slide. Scope and limitation of the study. The first, an analysis focus on the types of code mixing and code switching used by students on Instagram posts. And second, an analysis focus on the reason that students use on Instagram posts. And the last one is an analysis of English education study program students' function in using code mixing and code switching on Instagram. And then we'll move to the definition of key terms. The first, code, it by Wardorf. Definition of the code is a system used for communication between two or more parties used by any acquisitions. And second, code mixing from Wardorf, 1992, state that code mixing occurs when conversants use both languages together to the extent that they change from one language to the other in the course of a single utterance. And third, code switching is from Himes, state that one of the alternative ways to bilingual of two or more languages in the same conversations. Code switching is a common term for the alternative use of two or more languages, varieties of a language, or even speech style. And the last one, social media. Social media is a collective of online communications channel dedicated to the community-based input, interaction, content sharing, and collaboration. Now we move to the next chapter 2, about literature review. Now I talk to you about the meaning of the code mixing and code switching. First, code mixing is the switches occurring with a sentence. It's by Hoffman, 1991. Code switching is acquired frequently in informal conversation among the people who are familiar and have a shared educational, ethnic, and socio-economic background. It by Hoffman, 1991. Now, we move to the types. We talk about the types of code mixing. The first, intralexical mixing. For example, aku beli orange juice nih. And then, establishing continuity with the previous speaker. For example, saya pinjam bukumu ya. And then the involving a change of pronunciation. Thank you. But they write or they said with the Indonesian phonological. And the next types of code switching, inner sentential switchings. For example, I know him well, dia orang yang baik kok. And then emblematic switchings. For example, I have to ask her first. You know, saya kurang paham masalahnya. And then establishing continuity with the previous speaker. For example, correct, you get the point. Kata banget, that is a key of the establishing continuity with the previous speaker itself. Now we talk about the reasons. The reasons of the code mixing and code switching. First, talking about a particular topic, and then quoting the somebody else, and after that being empathic about something, express solidarity, and the one interjections, and then repetition used for clarification intention of clarifying the speech content for interlocutor, and then expressing group identity. And then about the functions. First, code mixing. Code mixing use the trait theory. First, as a group identification, as solidarity, distancing, redefinition of situation, to soften or strengthen request comment, to say something twice, a humorous effect, and as direct quotation, as ideological statement, as lexical need to exclude other people with her of content, and as avoidance strategy. But function code switching use theory from Hoffman. There are 10 functions of code switching. The first one, to talk about a particular topic, to quiet somebody else, to provide emphasis about something, to make an interjection, to repeat in order to clarify, to express group identity, and to show intention of clarifying speech, and to soften or strengthen a request or command, and then to meet a lexical need, and then to exclude others when a command is in for an exclusive audience. And then we talk about Instagram. Instagram is an online mobile photo sharing, video sharing, or social networking. Is one of the some social media. And then the history of Instagram was found in 2010 by Stanford graduates Kevin Systrom and Mike. And then it launched 2010, and Instagram rapidly gained popularity with 1 billion region user in 2 months, 10 million in a year, and 1 billion as most of May 2019. And this is the content or part of Instagram. There are send message, comment, caption, like, or profile. But in here, I just focus on the caption that they post on their Instagram. Now I explain about previous study. Before I told to you previous study from ISNA. Now I told to you from DESI 2016. She investigated code mixing and code switching used by English lecturers teaching in a classroom at Jambi University. DESI found that the most factors use intention of clarifying the speech content for interlocutor. And then second, Jessica Suyadi and Nurul 2018, they analysis of code mixing on social media networking used by the 4th semester students of English Education Study Program Batanghari University in academic year 2017 and 2018. And they found that the result from WA is mixed language because quoting somebody else, and from IG talking about particular topic and quoting, and FB most of the reason was quoting somebody else. So the gap of the Jessica Suyadi and Nurul just focus on the reason of the code mixing. Now we move to the Ayu and Muhammad 2019 with the title The Levels of English Arabic Code Mixing in Islamic Boarding School Students Daily Conversation. The most appear with the word, and the factors with intention, speech, content. So Ayu and Muhammad itself focus on the Islamic boarding school, and she focus on the types and the factors. And the next is Nurma 2019 with her entitled An Analysis of Code Switching and the Lyrics of Bird Tong Hai Mitching Tire. It in the Thailand song. So the gap of this research is focused on the types and using a song. Now from Rashida 2017 with her entitled An Analysis of the Function of Code Switching and Code Mixing found in the written form of telegram interactions. So in this research, Rashida focused on the telegram. There are Claudia Cynthia Bella, Deddy Corbuzier, Zaskia Adia Meka, Raditya Dika, and then Dewi Sandra. So from all of the previous studies, the researchers found the gap that the researchers only focus on the types and the factors. But in this research, researchers try to find the types, functions, and also the reasons. And then the subject and the participant from the previous studies are lecturers, novels, Islamic boarding, and WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, and Telegram. But in this research, the researchers only focus on the Instagram, especially in English Education Study Program student 6th and 8th semester. Now we move to the chapter 3 about the methodology. The research method that researchers use is mixed method, descriptive, qualitative, and quantitative. And then the setting is Instagram post, And then the participant of the research is English students 6 and 8 semesters on Instagram at Universitas Bengkulu. The instrumentation that researchers use are observation checklist and interview. Observation checklist focus to answer research question number 1, types of code mixing and code switching. And second, interview to answer research question number 2 and number 3 about the reason and the function of code mixing and code switching that students use. And then I will explain about the technique of the collecting the data. First, the researchers observe English student Instagram and follow them, and after that, the researchers screenshot their caption. And the second, the researchers analyze the data one by one, and then looking for the caption and in English student on Instagram, and then analyzing the data based on kinds, types of classification of the code mixing and code switching. And then the researchers interview the student reason about code mixing and code switching based on the question. And then after that, researchers will interview about the functions. And then after that, the researchers transcribe again the interview. And then the last one, the researchers analyze the data. Next is procedures of the research. First, follow ESP student Instagram account, and then check the document of each caption or validate the instrument for question in interview with validator, and then screenshot the Instagram post. And after that, analyze post and checklist in observation checklist. And after that, interview students based on the most code mixing and code switching. Now, the interview only focus on the students that have the most code mixing and code switching. So, not all students, the researchers will interview. And record the interview, and after that make transcribe from the recording, and then the analyze transcript to know reason and function of code mixing and code switching, and display the data in table of analyze the and content to know percentages of using types of code mixing, and then work with the co-researchers to compare the two analyses of the researchers and co-researchers to find out the reliability of the research. And the last one is make conclusion. And then the researchers see the screenshot caption in IG post, the classify the data code mixing and code switching, and then finding the type of the student and classifying the data based on the types of the student. Use Hoffman theories and making percentages, and after that using interview, and after that concluding and analyze the data. And this is the appendixes from the types of code mixing. I have the table from the Hoffman, and after that types of code mixing, code switching from Hoffman too. And this is the interview guideline. I have 13 interview guideline. I adapted from the Hoffman 1991. That's all my presentation. Thank you very much for your nice attention. I'm sorry for making many mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.